Hello, boys and girls, and welcome back. Yesterday, you got a chance to do lots of research about a topic that interests you, and we are so excited to hear all of the information that you found on Epic or PBS, whatever sources that you used. Today, we're going to take all that research and we're going to start thinking about the topic and the subtopic. So, in our informational report writing notebook, we're going to turn to page 7, which looks like this, which is on my screen, and it says breaking into smaller subtopics. So what you'll do is you're going to fill this anchor chart in at the conclusion of today's lesson, and you'll make sure you have this ready for when you meet with Mrs. Armstrong or myself so we can see what subtopics you filled in. So today I'm going to share a mentor text with you. This mentor text is called The Great Barrier Reef. Let me just pull that up so you're able to see it on my screen. All right, so I'm going to let Mrs. Armstrong fix our screen for us. So the story we are working on or we're listening to is The Great Barrier Reef. And it says, would you believe that billions of tiny plants and animals were responsible for building one of the 7 wonders of the natural world? The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest reef system that is made up of 900 islands and extends over 2,600 kilometers. This collection of over 2,900 individual reefs can even be seen from outer space. However, the amazement of this reef does not stop at its size. The next section is labeled Show Me the Way. If you're curious where to go to visit the Great Barrier Reef, look no further than Queensland, Australia. This reef is a major tourist attraction, getting around 2 million visitors each year. Cairns, a city of Queensland, is a great place to stay when visiting the reef. It has access to beaches, islands, wildlife, and the beautiful reef. Home sweet home. The structure of the Great Barrier Reef begins with coral, polyps, and algae, but there are so many more living things to see there. Dolphins, porpoises, and 30 species of whales have all been spotted there. More than 1,500 species of fish, rays, and 134 species of sharks have a home on the reef too. The reef is not just home to marine animals, but marine plants as well. 1/3 of the world's soft corals can be found there, and 411 hard corals have also been identified on the reef.
Visitors welcome. When visiting this natural wonder, there are several things this reef has to offer. One of the most popular things to do when visiting the reef is snorkeling. Divers of every skill level can snorkel the reefs and see all kinds of sea life. A variety of fish, sea turtles, and humpback whales are just a few of the animals you may see when snorkeling. Many tourists also enjoy sailing around the reef. Last, you can observe the reef from high up in the air. Air tours allow you to get a bird's eye view of the Great Barrier Reef via helicopter without getting wet. With its natural beauty and many tourist attractions, it's easy to see why the Great Barrier Reef is named one of the 7 natural wonders of the world.
Before you go on, one thing I'd like to say is that this mentor text was organized very well. I love that it had its main heading, the Great Barrier Reef, and also some subtopics that it discussed, such as Show Me the Way and Home Sweet Home.
I agree, Mr. Brady. So if we think about what the topic of this report was, it's very easy to see that the topic was the Great Barrier Reef. And if we look very carefully, we will see that the author has divided her report into multiple paragraphs. Each paragraph, these are paragraphs, each paragraph is a part or subtopic of her main topic. Let's look at each paragraph and decide what subtopic the author was writing about. So if we look at this first paragraph here, would you believe that billions of tiny plants and animals were responsible for building one of the 7 wonders of the natural world? The Great Barrier Reef is the world's largest reef system. So all of this is introducing us to the topic. So it's called the introduction or lead. Paragraph 2, it says, show me the way. If you're curious where to go to visit the Great Barrier Reef, this paragraph is telling us about location. Where is it located? It's describing where it's located. The next paragraph, and remember, these are called subtopics. So this one's location. What is this subtopic? Let's see. Home sweet home. The structure of the Great Barrier Reef begins with coral polyps and algae. So this is telling me what kind of life is here, what kind of life lives here, animals that live here. Okay, and then the fourth one, visitors welcome. Okay, well that heading helps out a lot, right? Then it says, when visiting the natural wonder, there are several things this reef has to offer. So this is telling us about what it's like when you visit the Great Barrier Reef. Then the very bottom, little section here, we need a conclusion, right? We had an introduction up here introducing us, and the conclusion is kind of going to close us out and end our whole thing. It's called the conclusion. I wonder, what is the difference between a fact and a subtopic? A subtopic is actually a collection of facts. So a fact is like one statement, and a subtopic is a collection of facts. So lots of statements in there. Let's look at our anchor chart, which is located in our book, as Mr. Reedy said, and this is on page 7 in our books today. And our topic of the day is breaking our topic into smaller subtopics. So in a minute, I'm going to put up on the screen an example of what this would look like if we were writing a report about dolphins. However, you are not writing a report about dolphins, so your subtopics might be a little bit different. But I still want you to copy all of the subtopics about dolphins. I just want you to leave room for yourself too. So you're going to see a couple words come up here in a minute, and you're going to copy them, but at the very top of the box here, and you're going to leave lots of space underneath for you to write down your subtopics for whatever you chose for your report. So here, this should say dolphins up here, but you can save it for whatever you want. Let's pretend I'm talking about dolphins. The subtopics that I might want to write about would be characteristics. What are some things about dolphins? What are some things that dolphins do? Subtopic 2, so my second paragraph, might be about habitat. Where and how do the dolphins like to live? Subtopic 3, maybe I'm going to write about the predators and the prey. Who comes after dolphins and what do dolphins go after for food? And then maybe my last category is going to be my last subtopic, my last paragraph is going to be communication. How do dolphins communicate with other animals? Or how do dolphins communicate with people? So those would be my paragraphs if I were writing about dolphins. Now, you are going to write your topic in here, and then you're going to write what you think some subtopics for you could be underneath where you wrote them about dolphins.
Mrs. Armstrong, I love how you put your example in blue pen, and maybe when you do your subtopic today, you could use a different color.
Yeah, that would be totally fine. That would be wonderful. You know what? I think, Mr. Reedy, I might want to talk about another example. Like maybe if we were writing about George Washington, we could talk about the childhood and education of George Washington in one of our paragraphs. And then maybe we could talk about his time in the military. That could be another subtopic. Could be another paragraph. Then maybe we could talk about him being president. That could be our last paragraph. So that's just, I gave you an example for dolphins. If you're writing about an animal, you can maybe think similarly to what we wrote up here. Or if you are writing about a person, those would be some places to start. So there's lots of different subtopics, even for one category. Maybe 2 people would be writing about dolphins and they would all have completely different subtopics because there's so many things you can say about a lot of topics. All right, guys, so today this is what you are going to work on. You're going to work on this anchor chart and write in what you think some good subtopics for your report could be. Let us know if you need us.